Welcome to this week's edition of the Pitstop podcast. I'm Jaco van der Merwe. I'm joined by Mark Jones. Today we're going to talk about not in charge yet, Mark, but trying to be large and in charge. GWM P500. Tell us, what the hell is it?
It's kind of large. It's obviously their new bakkie. It's the biggest bakkie now on the market. It's wider, longer, higher than anything else. So it's a substantial machine. It's the first petrol hybrid in South Africa. It's got a host of tech. So it's all of those things, and it carries a price tag of 999,900 Rand.
That's for the top spec.
That is for the boy we drove. Yeah, there is a 2.4 diesel, but we never got near that, and we're not quite sure what the spec is. But yeah, for the big boy, call it $1 million. First Chinese vehicle to go there.
But let's now, before we go into this P500, just tell us, where the hell is this model sitting now? Because the average buyer out there will know, obviously, GWM has got their workhorse is the Steed, which is a very old one, and then obviously the P-Series, which was called P-Series in South Africa, because if you don't know the story, it's actually overseas, it's called Power, but without the W. So unfortunately in South Africa it would be the Pur.
Yeah.
But they decided, thank the heavens, they decided against going for the Pur, because nobody's going to say Power, and it became the P-Series. So where does the P500 now sit on top of that P-Series range?
100%. It's now the flagship. I mean, it even looks different. I mean, it's based, if you look at it, it's very much Dodge Ram-ish kind of looking with the big chrome and all the bling, which is not something I think a lot of South Africans like. But yeah, it's their flagship. It's got, I must be honest, got all sorts of sort of tech and gadgets and gizmos in there that is like a first. So
if we just look at the top spec there, the one you said for basically $1 million, it's 999,900 or whatever, something in the last few. But I mean, we're talking about a bakkie here. I know the JAC has introduced the sunroof, but it's still very, very fresh in the bakkie segment. We're talking about the sunroof. We're talking about a 14.6-inch infotainment system. We're talking about massaging front seats and a heated and cooled rear seating. Of course, all wrapped in Napa leather. And then you go around and then you look at that split tailgate. It's just, hell, it's something else, eh? For the bakkie segment.
Yeah, listen, they are really, there's a lot of firsts here. Do you need them in a bakkie? I don't know. But, wow, panoramic roof, the massage function on the seats, the clever opening of that tailgate, as you say, heads-up display. Geez, I'm trying to remember. The list is endless.
Safety systems galore, everything in the book.
Thankfully, and they do say it, that they did have input and they did beg and plead at their Chinese masters that can they switch some of that stuff off.
Okay.
So you can. You now get in the bakkie and you can switch a lot of the annoying gongs and beeps off, and it remembers what you did.
After restarting?
So when you get back in, it kind of holds what you had. So not in the past where you reset everything, switch the thing off at the shops, you come back at pings and pongs all the time. So they've taken that on board. It's just amazing what they've brought to the segment. I'm not convinced the next guy's going to, certainly not a Toyota's going to react to that. They're never going to, never's a long word. They're never going to put that sort of stuff in a bakkie, I don't believe. I mean, it's beyond what you need in a bakkie, but you used to have it. I mean, if you really want all that stuff, they're offering you like the luxury ride of a lifetime.
Just getting to that powertrain, you briefly mentioned it. I think it debuted on the Tank 300, if I'm not mistaken, which you also drove at launch. So it's basically 2.4 turbo petrol engine.
2-litre turbo petrol.
2-litre turbo petrol.
2.4 is a diesel, yeah.
Okay.
2-litre petrol.
2-litre with electrical assistance.
Correct.
Which makes 255 kilowatts of power.
Yes.
And then some torque.
648 or something, yeah.
So in bakkie terms, that is huge. At currently, the only bakkie with more power in South Africa would be the Raptor.
100%. I mean, they're making a big sing and dance about that, which I get. But there is a little bit of a caveat with that in terms of that 2-litre engine without that assistance is only 180 kilowatts. So they rely on that battery kind of heavily on the electric motor to provide this sort of power output they're claiming. But I do have to say, when it's charged, the little battery, and it's self-charging, it's not a plug-in, it charges off the engine. When the little battery's charged and you hoof that thing, it's alive.
Despite the weight, because it's quite heavy.
It's nearly 2.6 ton.
That is heavy.
I mean, that is heavy. That is, and ironically, you feel that. I mean, they said to us, put it in sport mode, feel it on the passes. It carries its weight. It can't hide that weight. It's not going to be super dynamic. It is heavy. And when the battery's sharp, that thing pulls off hard. It jumps. It really, I believe it'll be probably our second best bakkie besides Raptor. It's probably going to be even better than the old Amarok V6 diesel, which led for a very long time.
Yes.
But when that battery gets depleted in that sort of burst, then we go to 180 kilowatts of petrol power. And then it's not nearly as lively. And then it's been the Achilles heel of the Chinese manufacturers. They claim 9.8, but it's nowhere near that. I mean, we battled to get under 15. And that's far away. That's going to be, I promise you, it's going to be one of the things they're going to promise this efficiency. And yes, I'm sure, and I said in the story I wrote, when we get it on test and try, if you run it kind of in electric mode and whatever, you should be able to get better. But we battled to get sort of under 15, and when we really tried, we got in the 12s. So that's something that's you're going to buy this very butch, fast bakkie, and it's only going to be fast when it's got battery. And if it's not, it's going to suck fuel. So that's a bit of a concern that's going to not sort of sit well with owners.
Just getting back to the range starts at 799. Then it goes up one spec level to 889. Those are both powered by the 2.4 diesel,
Yes.
which makes 135 kilowatts.
Yes.
Now, that is already an improvement over the current P series. That is a 2-liter turbo diesel engine, which produces about 120 kilowatts.
Yeah.
So that's basically the structure. And then, like I said, a 999 tops. That is now the hybrid.
Yeah.
Just before we conclude, so at R1,000,000, if you look at what that can buy you in rival stables, I mean, that can basically get you a legend-ish about 48-volt.
That can get you a GR Sport at exactly the same price.
Yes.
900, 990.
Almost the Wildtrack X, thereabout.
Yeah, or even at least a Wildtrack, 3-liter V6 Wildtrack.
So would you say this P500, where, let's say, the P series, you can say it's maybe 100 or 200 grand cheaper than the equivalent in those tables, where this thing, you're talking about $1,000,000, it's $1,000,000.
Correct.
A guy with $1,000,000, is this P500 going to take away any clientele from those stalwarts, those established ones, or is it for completely new market or new bakkie buyers? Just big, brash bling.
Yeah, I think even they're a little aware of it, that they would love that somebody would jump out of a Ranger or a Hilux into this vehicle. It offers a lot on paper. But I don't believe South Africa's a very, very loyal customer base, fiercely loyal. I think they're gonna get their sales mostly from this guy that's sitting in the middle a little bit going, gee, I've got $1,000,000, and I like the idea of whatever they're offering, the heated seats, all the little luxuries and the safeties that aren't available in other bakkies. He might buy into that. And of course, I think you have to be really, and it's subjective. You've got to really like that blingy chrome. It's lots of chrome, big badges. Maybe they do. And then the guy's going to justify his choice. He'll still have a good bakkie. But man, at R1,000,000, you've got a lot of choice.
Well, like always, as soon as we get that bakkie on test, Mark is sure to take it to Gerotech. We'll put it through the drills and just see if Mark's prediction of it might top the old V6 Amarok. We'll put that to the test.
Yeah.
But up until then, we'll keep you posted with all the latest things around the motoring world. Thank you for listening to us this week. I'm Jaco van der Merwe. I was joined by Mark Jones. Please go like this podcast if you liked it, of course. And you can also share it. Also decide to follow us, the Citizens YouTube channel. That's all from us for this week. Thank you.